PA, and now it is time for your favorite sports talk show, the German House Sports Talk Show. Hello, folks. Welcome to German House Sports World. I am your host, Jeremy Hadler, and you are listening to the voice of York College on 88.1 FM. On tonight's episode, I will be talking about the Phillies' progress so far this season and looking ahead to the final month of the regular season, hoping the Phillies can make the playoffs. Postseason or bust is the Phillies' expectations for the season, folks. Before we do that, let's talk about the weather here real quick in York, PA. The weather in York, PA right now is 91 degrees here and very humid. So you can still go get that sun, that summer suntan if you want. Go get that tan if you want outside. Please drink lots of water and stay hydrated, folks. It is very humid, so stay hydrated is keep you awake. All right, let's get to this. Of tonight's topic is the Philadelphia Phillies. I will be covering all night here of the show. The Phillies are currently 55-47 with 16 games over 500 and are ahead in the wild card spot in the second place. They are 9 games behind the New York Mets in the NL East. They have an 89% chance to make the postseason. So the Phillies have a pretty good chance at making the postseason as of right now. They do. And correct me wrong, folks. I'm sorry about that record. It's 72-56. I don't know why I said that. That was the first half record. I don't know why. But yeah, so it's that. And the Phillies, they're having their chance ever since Joe Girardi got fired this early in the regular season. The Phillies have gone 33-18 with Rob Thompson since he's taken over. The Phillies have won 11 series and lost 5. That's pretty impressive for Rob Thompson to take over. And another interesting fact, your reigning MVP, the NL MVP, the reigning one from last year, Bryce Harper, the Phillies' main guy, got hurt, and he's been out the past 2 months, and they came back last week. The Phillies went 30-22 without Bryce Harper these past 2 months. Very impressive to see for the Phillies to get that. Very impressive. Now, let's talk about the pros and the cons for this team. The Phillies starting rotation, I would consider that a pro. The bullpen, it's been a pro. It's been solid so far this season. It hasn't messed up yet. Knock on wood. Knock on wood. The offense, it's getting more consistent, especially when you're taking advantage of bad teams like the Pittsburgh Pirates we just took against. The Phillies took advantage of that and won the series. They did that before with other teams. The Phillies offense keeps needing to get more consistent. That's what it's been like for the Phillies. The offense has been doing that. Let's just keep it going. That's what the Phillies need. But the Phillies have been following the next man up mentality despite the injuries. Like Zach Eflin goes down. He might not come back. He's in bullpen session right now. He might come back as a reliever from like playoff time wise, but he's not going to be a starter for the rest of the year. He's not going to do that kind of stuff. If the Phillies make postseason or towards the end of the regular season, they're not going to do that. Bryce Harper, as I mentioned, he came back. Gene Segura, he came back and he's doing better. Zach Wheeler was the big news. As soon as Bryce Harper came back, he went on the 15-day IL for forearm tendonitis, so he's having a little soreness in his arm because he's been throwing much, and that tends to happen when you have your best ace out there pitching a lot of innings, striking people out, throwing a lot of pitches. That tends to happen for the top-tier guys like Max Scherzer and Clayton Kershaw, other guys too, and Garrett Cole. Like those guys. It happens for most of those top pitchers in the MLB. It happens to them all the time. So that's something to watch out for Zach Wheeler. Hopefully he comes back for the Braves series is what I'm mostly hoping for. Like right now, I'm fine with it because, one, it's not really a big concern. We're not facing like 500 teams like the Giants. They're not 500, and right now in the series we're going to go into tonight against the Arizona Diamondbacks, they're not 500. They don't have a winning record. The teams that do have a 500 winning record that we're going to have to face is the Atlanta Braves, Toronto Blue Jays, and the Houston Astros right at the end of the year. So the Braves series, which we'll talk in a bit about, that's going to be a big series coming up soon. So we'll get into that. Other injuries that occurred was Brandon Marsh. He came back last week from he hurt himself in the knee. He fell down and hurt his knee when he was trying to make a catch in the outfield, which the Phillies acquired him in the trade deadline. If you know about Brandon Marsh, he hurt himself 2 weeks ago, and then he came back last week, so he's fine. He's doing fine in the outfield. That's yeah, that's all the injuries I can aware about. What now? Let me talk about one of the biggest questions that was coming into the Phillies this season. The bullpen was the biggest thing that came into the Phillies this season. It was the biggest thing because every year when you watch the Phillies, the bullpen would mess it up for the Phillies. Every year they would mess it up. You could go back when Bryce Harper came here the first year, they lost a lot of games because they didn't have a good closer. Next year, next year, COVID happened and it didn't happen there. And then another year, it didn't happen. Like, the Phillies bullpen has been the Achilles heel for this team for so long, and the reason why we haven't made the postseason with Bryce Harper at all. That's been the main reason why, I like to say. Main reason why. So, and this year, it has finally helped the Phillies. We finally get a solid guy like Sir Anthony Dominguez, which it took forever for the Phillies to get him. It took forever for the Phillies to acquire him, of having him in the rotation, of getting the closer position around him, because Joe Girardi, he never used him. Rob Thompson, it took him about 2 weeks to finally figure out, oh yeah, this guy's very good. He's done very good in strikeouts, getting guys out. Now they start to use him, and he's doing well, and then he just went on the IL like 2 weeks ago. Same time with Wheeler. So he's really the biggest concern to me with injury-wise. Wheeler, yes, he's your top ace. He's the best guy for the Phillies of starting rotation. But I'm saying overall, the Phillies need him as a closer. Even though it's been solid for the Phillies need him desperately. And he needs to be fine. Well, he avoided any severe long-term injury. He avoided all that stuff. And hopefully he gets back 100% healthy, back on time. That's the Phillies need badly. We need that so much. So hopefully he gets back safe there. But looking at Dominguez's stats real quick, his ERA was 1.67, allowed 7 runs in 37 innings, and has 0.94 WHIP. That is pretty good stats for a closer that you want to have, and have like Brad Lidge back in the day for the Phillies when he was perfect that one year when the Phillies won the World Series. That was amazing. And the Phillies just need that closer, need him to close out close games that they can trust on right at the end of the game. Because the offense is not always going to bail out the Phillies when they need help out there. If they're giving up 3 runs in the top of the ninth, how it always was with Hector Neris or Jonathan Papelbon back in the day, or somebody else. It was like that for Phillies. So we need Dominguez back healthy and quick. We need him back. But for right now, the role has gone to David Robertson, and he's done all right. He did give up one game when he gave up 3 runs when the Phillies had a 3-run lead. That was the only time, but the Phillies, I believe, won that game, so it was fine. But he's an all right, he's better, and this is the one time when I'm happy the Phillies got something out of him, because before the Phillies signed him in 2019, the 3 years he signed to a contract worth a lot of money, and he didn't play much because he kept getting hurt, had Tommy John surgery. It just kept going worse, and the Phillies had just to cut him in his 2 years of his contract. They had to get rid of him. And now he's paying back what the Phillies wanted out of him this whole entire time. So we haven't wasted money yet. We haven't wasted that kind of money yet. So it's been good for the Phillies there. Aaron Nola, he is very good in the home. Away, he's okay. But when he's pitching Citizens Bank Park, he's doing very good. His stats: 152 strikeouts, 3.25 ERA. A 0.94 WHIP. Those are pretty good stats for Nola. He's definitely rebounded from last year after struggling and wasn't the same form like he was in his rookie second year of his pitching career with the Phillies. Now he's kind of getting back into the groove. He's getting back into where he's wanted and wanted to be more elite. That is what we needed out of Nola this entire time, and it's finally going this season. It has been working well for him, so he's been doing fine. Zach Wheeler on the other hand, he's had a 2.77 ERA with a 1.03 WHIP, and has thrown well over 136 strikeouts. So he's done pretty well too, Zach Wheeler. Despite his record, I want to say of clarification for Zach Wheeler's record, even though it might not be the brightest, some of those games were not his fault because the Phillies offense would not show up for him if he pitched, gave up 1 run and gave up 5 hits, and the Phillies offense couldn't do anything. There were some of those games that has occurred for the Phillies starting rotation. That has occurred. And it's going vice versa when the Phillies score a lot of runs and the starting pitcher gives up 3-5 runs. That's been vice versa. It's been that the entire time when the Phillies have lost, it's been one or the other. They both haven't been on the same page. That's when the Phillies have lost. But it has worked out most of the time for the Phillies, so it's gone well. Now, getting into this offense for the Phillies. This offense is one of the best in the MLB. You have Kyle Schwarber, Mr. Home Run. He has the most home runs in the NL, second in overall the MLB behind Aaron Judge. He gets a home run usually once a week. He's over 36 home runs right now. That's pretty great. You got Alec Boehm, who everyone wanted him gone last year, including myself. He has definitely rebounded from last year. He's definitely rebounded with the hitting coach. He's helped them out a lot. And this is what I was saying earlier last year was Alec Boehm will get back to himself next year and he will perform himself again. He will get better, especially with his defense. It has improved, and his hitting. They both have improved as a hitter. He's become a better slugger, and he's been making better defensive plays than he has in the past, where he's always struggled. Now, he does tend to struggle once in a while with the not making the play at third base or not getting the deep dive ball. So he's getting better with it. He's definitely getting a lot better with it. Definitely better than what I saw from last year when he would miss most of those times. So if he can make 80-90% of those just regular routine plays, then we're great. We're fine with that. That's what I'm happy about. If he can make the routine plays, I'm fine with that. But his offense is what I really loved about him, and he's done fantastic. So keep it up, Boom. Keep it up. Then you go to Rhys Hoskins. He's had a solid season for the Phillies. His offense has done fine. I like it when he's playing first base. He makes tough plays, so he's been better defensively. The Phillies, one of the other biggest questions coming into the season was, will the defense hurt them? Will the defense hurt them? And it did for the first couple months, I want to say, for the Phillies. It hurt them because they could not do anything. I remember, I think it was the first month of baseball for the Phillies, and you had three guys, and you had your center fielder, you had your right fielder, and then you had your second base trying to catch a pop-up in mid, towards the second base area and outfield, and they all literally hit each other with a glove of colliding into each other, and the ball dropped right in front of them, and the runner and the batter got to go to second base because of that. Definitely improved from day one of being terrible to now it has become a lot better. So the defense has improved a lot, and what I've always said for this Phillies team this year was this defense does not have to be great. It doesn't have to be the best defense in the league. It just has to make the routine plays. If the Phillies can make the routine plays, they are good, they are fine, and make the postseason. If they can make the routine plays, like a ground ball, pop-up, fly-out, etc., like those, and the ones that I want to definitely say they have to be good at defensively, especially coming to the postseason, is the tag-up plays. When they have to catch from center field or right field or left field, whatever, they're catching the ball and they got to throw it home or throw it to a base to tag the runner out. That is something the Phillies definitely have improved on. It is definitely improved on, and it has helped the Phillies out. If they can that's my one big concern for the defense. If they can make those plays and throw it right in or cut off, if it's supposed to be a double, but they cut off to make it a single, that's what I would like for the Phillies to get. And they did address this at the trade deadline by acquiring Brandon Marsh. They acquired him for center field, and he's done a good job defensively. His offense, he's not really a great hitter, but his defense has improved and helped the center field position because he's got that speed and he can make those diving catch balls. So it helps the Phillies out a lot there. Then you got Nick Castellanos, who he's the one big disappointment I want to say for this team, for the offense and as a whole, really, because he was supposed to be coming in last year. He put up great numbers, over 35 home runs, had a great batting average, had a great slugging percentage. He had all of that. He has not done any of that this season. He does have his home runs once in a while, once in 2 months or once in one per month. He has not done a lot of home runs that we expected to. We haven't seen that power that we miss badly of him. He has not had that. He's been more of a contact guy and gets a single or a double. That's what he's been lately of getting on. He's getting on base more, which is great, but he's not getting he's hitting home runs every day. He's not hitting Kyle Schwarber would. He's not getting those. If he starts getting hot, if he starts doing a lot better and plays like how he did last year, I think this Phillies offense will help them go all the way to the World Series if that man can get hot. If he gets hot, you have Bryce Harper, you got Alec Boehm, JT Realmuto, Kyle Schwarber, you got other guys like Bryson Stott, etc. You have all these guys that are great offensively. They've become so much better. If Nick does a lot better and gets hot, I think the Phillies have a really good chance for their offense to help them go very far in the playoffs. I really think they do. So if Nick helps this team out, if he gets the offense going for himself, then the Phillies are going to be great. Now, he doesn't have to be like, he's got to be the leader. He doesn't have to be the MVP. He doesn't have to do that kind of stats. It would be nice if he would, but that's not going to happen by expectations and where we are right now towards the end of the regular season. If he become a solid guy, then the Phillies will do very good with that offense. They will do very good. Okay. Going into the other part of the offense, you have JT Realmuto. JT Realmuto, he's one of the best catchers, if not the best catcher, I would still want to say, in this MLB. Now, this year, he hasn't had his offensive numbers that he did in the past, but he's, ever since the trade deadline, ever since All-Star break, he's done a lot better. He's getting more on base. He's hitting home runs, getting more doubles, he's getting more hits, getting on base. That's what I like to see out of JT. That's what I want to see out of Nick Castellanos, if he can make those improvements. JT has definitely improved, and he's become a better player than where he was when he first started the season. And he's still throwing guys out that are trying to steal second base. He's still one of the best throwers at getting guys out. So that's been a great accomplishment for him, and he's definitely done a better job of that. You have Bryson Stott. Bryson Stott, the rookie this year, he's projected, most people want to say, is the next Chase Utley or Jimmy Rollins. Like, they're expecting, they have the front office for the Phillies, Dave Dombrowski, they have very high expectations for this kid. And I'm very happy despite his stats. Like, he's not having like over 270 batting average. Like, he's not having like those kind of like solid numbers. He's having his rookie kind of season. I'm really liking how he's playing. He's done a good job. I really want to give him credit about how he's doing with this, of playing through his entire rookie season, and he's just getting through. Like, this is just a process, I want to say, for Stott, basically, because first year it's very rare for a guy to be like the MVP. It's very rare. So Stott, I really like how he's playing this year, especially with his hitting, his defense. The Phillies are trying to get him to be like the Scott Kingery that he was supposed to be by playing versatile positions, but Stott can play like shortstop. He can do third base if he has to. He's second base. Like, next year, it's going to like figure out who's being played in one position, but it's most likely that Stott will play shortstop next year because they got rid of Didi Gregorius earlier this year, and Gene Segura we have to see about. And the Phillies might go after a superstar that's been rumored to go here next year, Trey Turner. So we have to see what happens, but I'm pretty sure that Stott's going to play shortstop or second, but mostly shortstop, I want to say. So that's Stott. And second base, as I mentioned earlier, Gene Segura. Coming back from that injury, he's been playing fine and great. So I give credit for Gene. But again, with this offense of how it's been, of where it was, it has done a better job of where it's been the years past. And I think this is the best offense I have seen in forever since the Phillies made the playoffs. This is the best offense, I want to say, since like the World Series. I want to say for the Phillies, it's one of the best offenses I have seen because they've gotten more runs, more consistency. This is what I like to see. And the Phillies are projected to get 90 wins now. They're projected to get 90 wins. And that's about guaranteeing you to the postseason, especially with the new playoff format of having 3 wildcard positions for the NL and the AL. It pretty much kind of guarantees you the Phillies will get it, since we're not in a very competitive side. Like, the American League is always competitive, trying to get the number 1 spot or get that last spot. Like, every team gets a winning record. Whereas the NL, it's not that competitive, really. It's really not, because most teams have bad records. And the only team that's for the NL that's trying to get to the postseason really is the Milwaukee Brewers, which they have struggled since the All-Star break. So that's really the only team that kind of will mess around with the Phillies if they want to take them out. But the Phillies have they're 4 games ahead of the Brewers, so they're fine where they are right now. But yeah, they just need to get to that. But again, the Phillies offense has improved a lot, and so is the pitching. When you have Aaron Nola. You got Zach Wheeler. You have Kyle Gibson. He's been playing solid a lot, and he's a solid 4-5 pitcher, I want to say, for the Phillies. So he's done great. Noah Syndergaard, he's been all right. I don't want to say fantastic. He hasn't shown a lot of like his old self of like Cy Young, best pitcher in the league. He's not that dude anymore. Ever since that Tommy John surgery had occurred, he's not the same guy anymore. He is not the same guy. So if he can just be a four, like where Kyle Gibson is, if he can pitch like Kyle Gibson, he is fine, and I'll be happy with that. But he does show gives about 2-3 runs a game, so it's all right. Is want to say he's like an all right pitcher, like kind of an average, but that's what the Phillies kind of need really, because they don't have like a lot of great pitchers all around. Like yes, Bailey Falter, you can say he's been showing some promise for the Phillies, but I trust more Syndergaard than him because Falter in the past has shown he can give up the whole game. So I like this. I like the veteran presence of Noah Syndergaard coming in with Thor. His nickname is Thor, folks, if you didn't know. And you got Ranger Suarez, who's going to take the mound tonight for the Phillies against the Diamondbacks. He's been looking very good for the Phillies. He's been looking very good. His stats have been fine. So he's had he has a 3.38 ERA, 1.31 WHIP, an 8-5 record, pitched over 120 innings, thrown 102 strikeouts, given up 112 hits. So he's done very good, and when he took over a starting position last year, being a starter last year, he definitely elevated that and took advantage of that, and he's a starter this year. So he's done very good, and I really like him on this team. I really do. So the Phillies, again, they have a great offense, a solid rotation. That is what I've missed too. I've missed that because the Phillies usually have 1 or 2 guys and that's it. But again, they have a very good solid rotation with Wheeler, Nola, Gibson, nicknamed Gibby, Suarez, Syndergaard. You have solid pitchers. You have a solid rotation all around that can be good for the playoffs for you. It's not going to be like the 2011 Phillies when they had the best rotation in the league, when you had Holiday, League, Oswalt, Kendrick, Hamels. It's not like that. It's not like that. A solid rotation for the Phillies. That's what I've been looking for Phillies. If they have a solid rotation, it helps them go farther, helps them improve, helps them get better every day. So the starting rotation is done very good for the Phillies. Now, to the bullpen wise, as I mentioned with Dominguez, he's hurt right now, but he will come back soon. But that is your main starter, though. He's your main starter. The other guys that have been pitching for the Phillies, David Robertson, who's took that role, and the Phillies acquired him at the trade deadline. They acquired him for one of the minor league prospects that was having a breakout year in the minors, but I'm pretty sure it was worth it since we paid David Robertson a lot of money before and he didn't show up for the Phillies. So I really like it there. I really like him there. Other guys, you have Connor Brogdon. He's all right. Recently, he hasn't been doing well. He's been getting up a couple hits and runs, but he's been solid throughout the whole season. But as of recently, he hasn't been great. Jose Alvarado, I really like. He's one of my favorite pitchers in the bullpen. I always like him pitching. He does well. I always love his celebration after he gets that strikeout. He goes crazy and wild, so I always love that. Brad Hand, he's been good, solid this year. Nick Nelson, that is an interesting name to me because most people, including myself, Philly fans, wanted him gone by the trade deadline. They say, oh, why didn't they get rid of him? He was terrible, trash, like, etc. As where I would put it, he's an all right guy. Definitely improved as of lately. He's definitely improved despite his ERA being a 4.71. When the Phillies starting rotation isn't doing well, he's usually put into these situations of going like the 5th, 6th inning, and he's done fine. But when you put him in the 7, 8, 9 innings, he's not that good. He's not that good when you put him in the 7, 8, 9 innings. So that has been the struggle. So he's basically like a backup kind of starter, really, if you want to put it that way, because he helps the Phillies out. Like when they're in struggle and the starter pitcher's not doing well, is having a terrible day, like giving up 3 runs, like Noah Syndergaard the other day, you have Nelson coming in. He's just pitching away and getting rid of like 2 innings and helps the Phillies out there. So we don't have to waste like one of our good relief pitchers like David Robertson or Jose Alvarado rat hand to take care of that business. Helps the Phillies save more pitching time for those guys and gives them more opportunities for winning situations. Helps the Phillies win more. So he is doing the dirty work for us by just getting rid of those innings that we need to for starting rotation do better in. But he's helping the Phillies out by getting rid of those innings for us by eliminating them. So he helps them out there. And yeah, the bullpen, again, it has been solid. Keep this up. Knock on wood. Knock on wood. This is what the Phillies have needed. They needed this, and it has done well. I really like where we are at right now. Where we are at having a good offense, having a good the defense is all right. It's definitely improved. Having a good team all around, I want to say. Solid rotation for both bullpen and the starters. Great offense. This is what it is. But the weakness, as I mentioned before, is the consistency and the injuries. Phillies are following, as I mentioned before earlier in the show, following the next man up mentality. If they can get past Bryce Harper by winning 30, by going 30 and 22 the past 2 months, they can make it to playoffs. This is a different environment than where it was with Joe Girardi. Rob Thompson, he has taken over and he's helped this Phillies team make it to the playoffs. I would not be surprised if he gets signed to a contract for the Phillies and becomes their manager for next year. I would not be surprised. As of right now, if the Phillies didn't make the playoffs, which we will see about that, but if I were at right now, I would sign him no matter what, based off what he's done for this team this year and the record they have come to. I would sign him no matter what. If the Phillies make the playoffs or not, I would want him as the manager because I really like him. And he has a background he's worked under Joe Girardi as his bench coach for many years, and he's been with the Phillies recently. Ever since Joe Girardi came over, and he won a World Series with Joe with the Yankees in 2009. But he's one of the best coaches in baseball right now. He's one of the best coaches. All right, now let's get into the schedule here for the Phillies. The schedule of where it is right now, as I mentioned before, the Phillies take on the Arizona Diamondbacks at 9:40 p.m., folks. 9:40 Eastern time against the Arizona Diamondbacks. And Ranger Suarez will be taking them out against Madison Bumgarner, which the Phillies tried to acquire him at the trade deadline, but there was no good offer for the Phillies to acquire because they were trying to get good prospects from Diamondbacks were requiring good prospects, and the Phillies aren't really known for having a great farm system for the past few years because we really haven't. But that's starting to change recently with when you have Andrew Painter and Mick Abel might come up next year for the Phillies. So stay tuned for that next year. But Bumgarner, last time he played against the Phillies, he gave up 3 runs, gave up 5 hits. So he's all right against the Phillies. But as I've always said when I played baseball as a kid and when I'm watching baseball, the strategy is to take that starter out by the 5th inning. If you take him out by the 5th inning, it will help you out. If you got to create a lot of pitch count for the dude, you got to have him out and start that bullpen because it's going to go wild for the bullpen for the manager of the other team to choose. Okay, which one do I go with this? Do I go with that? How many pitch counts is he available for this day? Etc. That's what I always liked in baseball is to take advantage of taking the starter out. The goal was to take the starter out usually. But with Bumgarner, I think the Phillies have a good chance, especially with the offense doing well recently for the Phillies. I think they'll get 2-3 runs tonight. I think they will, and we'll win this game and win this series. Definitely, this a must-win series, even though it's a terrible team and it's not really must win. But this is expectations where I'm at for the Phillies. You are expected to win this series against a terrible team. They are expected to. So Suarez is going tonight. Tomorrow is Nola on Tuesday. Wednesday you got Falter. So I see the Phillies really win the series. And then the next series you go to San Francisco against the Giants. First pitcher will be Gibson on Friday, and then you got Syndergaard Saturday and Suarez Sunday. Now the Giants, they might be trying to put all their best guys, throw all their chips up at the poker table, put all their best guys up, because this might be the last run for the Giants to kind of test out the Phillies and try to push to make the postseason. But it's very unlikely for the Giants to make it to the postseason since they're 6 games out of the wild card, and the Giants are not really a threat to the Phillies because, one, the Phillies are above or have the 2nd spot, And as I mentioned before, Giants are 6 games out. So, and I just don't think the Giants are really a threat to the Phillies. Really, the biggest threat to me right now is the Phillies themselves. That's what I'm gonna say. If they want to take advantage, if they want to like go better and get another seed, I want them to beat the Atlanta Braves, but that's gonna be a tough series. And if it's where it stands now, if baseball ended today and we started the playoffs tomorrow, Phillies be playing the Braves. They'd be playing the Braves. So the Braves are the biggest opponent to me, and that's the biggest series that's going to be upcoming next month, well, in a couple weeks, for the Phillies to take on the Atlanta Braves. So that's going to be a tight series. Then the next series after the Giants, you got the Marlins in a 3-game series at home. You have Nola, Falter, and Gibson there. So Phillies should win that definitely, but you have to watch out for some of the Marlins pitchers because they are very good, like Alcantara. He was very good the last time he was pitched, up until that last inning he had, and gave up a lot of runs for the Phillies. He gave a lot of runs, so that's a dude you have to watch out for, and he might be the Cy Young winner for the NL this year. He might be the Cy Young winner, and he's been pitching very good, so you have to always watch out for him. Then you got the Washington Nationals after the Marlins for a 3-game series at home, so you have a 6-game homestand. Then after 9/11, you have the Marlins in the 3-game series up in Miami. Then after that, here comes the toughest part I want to say for the Phillies team, the toughest part. You have the Atlanta Braves for a 3-game series in Atlanta. After that, you have the Toronto Blue Jays at home for a 2-game series. Luckily, it is not in Toronto like it was in July, I believe it was the last time we played the Blue Jays, because we had to follow the COVID rule, and if you weren't vaccinated, you couldn't go. So that occurred for JT Realmuto and some other guys in the clubhouse were not able to play that series. So, and the Phillies lost both those games too. So that's a tough team to watch out for the Blue Jays. Then after that comes the bigger one. 4-game homestand against the Atlanta Braves. Yeah, you have a 4-game homestand against the Atlanta Braves. This is, I want to say, is the biggest series. The biggest series for the rest of this season. The rest of this regular season, up until the playoffs. That series will be the biggest one to turn for the Phillies. That's going to be the biggest one. And so I say that the toughest stretch, as I mentioned before, from the Braves series in Atlanta, which is September 16, to the Braves series at home, December 25th. That is the toughest stretch for the Phillies. So that is 9 games in total. 9 games in total without having a break. You're not taking no day off. Complete straight of facing the Braves 7 times and the Blue Jays 2 times. That's a tough stretch. If the Phillies can win against the Braves in those series, that gives me more confidence that the Phillies can beat the Braves in a playoff series. It gives me more confidence for the Phillies. After that, they have the Chicago Cubs, which the Phillies struggled against the Chicago Cubs, which they got swept by last time they played the Cubs. After they had that hot streak going into the All-Star break, and then as soon as they get out, they play the Cubs and they get swept. So, do not take the Cubs lightly, Phillies. You have got to take care of business. If you don't take care of business, you go home and you don't make the playoffs. Take care of business, Phillies. I want to see you guys make the postseason. Really do. After that, you have a 4-game series in Washington. After that, you have a 4-game series in Washington, and then to wrap it up for your last series of the season is in Houston against the Astros for a 3-game series. 3-game series. So, again, toughest stretch is that Braves, Blue Jays, Braves series. That's the toughest stretch I want to say. Then Houston, I do not want it to come down to that Houston series for the Phillies. If it has to come down to the Houston, if the Phillies make the playoffs or not for that, I do not have faith in the Phillies there, because the Houston Astros are one of the best teams in the MLB and have the best AL record, I believe, right now. So, yeah, I don't trust the Phillies against the Astros. If they could win the series against the Astros, that would be pretty amazing too. That'd be pretty amazing. But just to look at the Phillies' record against the teams that I mentioned before and how they've done against other 500 teams this season. The tiebreaker over the Milwaukee Brewers, 4-2. The Cardinals, they are 4-3 against them. The Giants, they are 1-2 against them, but they have that series that I mentioned before coming up. If they can win that series, Phillies win that, but it really doesn't matter again to me. Got the Padres. They are 4-2 against them. That's the good teams. That's the tiebreakers the Phillies have. And they also beat the Los Angeles Dodgers of a season series. Very impressive to see for the Phillies to beat the Dodgers when we've had our struggles against the Dodgers for many years. Many years. The Phillies have finally gotten that, so it helps the Phillies out more. Then, and then you go to the Mets, which this is the worst part about the Phillies team this year. They have had, I believe, 5 games, I believe it was. Yeah, they've won 5 games against the New York Mets out of 19. 5 out of 19, folks. That is not a good sign for the Phillies. So the Mets worry me a lot. If we were to go to a postseason series, luckily the Phillies don't have to play the Mets for the rest of this regular season schedule. But when it comes to postseason, the Phillies have to play them. That is the one team I am worried that the Phillies. That's one of the teams I'm worried the Phillies have to play. That's one of the teams. My other team is the Braves, but I have to see if the Phillies can do well in that series, the 4-game series in home. That's the one series I'm counting on the Phillies. They can do well there. They have a good chance. So, again, this schedule for the Phillies is basically facing your own division. If you can do fine and not do terrible and not go on a cold streak, then they're fine. Phillies got this. Now, their series against the Braves, it has been close. Braves right now have the lead for it, I believe 2 games over, but the Phillies have that has been the one thing I've been happy about is the Phillies Braves series has been close. If the Phillies can win that series or do well against them, have tough games against play great games against the Braves, even if they lose, I'll be happy. If the Phillies can do that, that gives me more confidence in the Phillies. More confidence. So the Phillies have this great opportunity to do well, and they're facing their own division, and they're playing 500 below teams, teams that are not above 500 a lot. So it's Phillies that it's their chance. If it's themselves, if they can hurt themselves for this great opportunity. They have messed it up before. As I mentioned, with the bullpen. When you had that hot streak, I remember I think 3 years ago the Phillies were first place in the NL East, and they came to August, and then they went very bad, and it went terrible. I do not want the Phillies to mess up September. This is the most important month for the Phillies. Now, October is definitely important, but right now, I am not thinking about ahead because you're never thinking about ahead. You have got to live in the present, and you got to get the job done. September, we're just about a couple of days away from. They've got to focus on that heavily. So the Phillies have got to take care of business there. Now, what I want out of this Phillies team and what I wish were to happen, but it's most likely not going to happen, is for the Phillies to get the final wild card spot. That is my wish, but I highly doubt that will happen because of where the Padres are, since they have been losing a lot. And the Phillies have 2 games over the Padres, so very unlikely to happen. But my reason why I want that to happen is because if the Phillies get the 3rd wild card spot, and the Padres get the 2nd one, or whoever, if the Phillies just get the 3rd, they would not have to play the Braves the first round in Atlanta for the 5-game series. They would not have to play the New York Mets in the 2nd round. They would not have to play them. So the Phillies would not have to face their own division until the NLCS. I would rather take that path than where we are right now. If we would have to play the Braves, and if we win that, we play the Mets. I don't want that. I just don't. It gives me more confidence because if the Phillies were the 3rd seed, their road to the NLCS would be get to face the Cardinals, which they beat them. You got to face the Dodgers, which they beat them, but the Dodgers, they're the Dodgers. You got to always watch out for them. So I feel a little more confident if I were to say for the Phillies to go farther, get that 3rd final wild card spot, then the 2nd. That's where I'm kind of leaning towards. But if the Phillies can do fine, if they can do well against that Braves and in those series, then I'm fine. I'm like leaning like 50-50 of where I want them to go. So, yeah, that's where I'm at for the Phillies right now. I hope, and what I've hoped for a long time is the goal is to make the playoffs. That's just my goal is for them to make the playoffs. Their expectations is to make the playoffs and go farther. I'm happy with that. My goal is just for them to make the postseason because it's been over 11 years. It's been over a decade since the Phillies have made the postseason. The last time the Phillies made the postseason, they had the best record in the MLB with 102 wins, played the Cardinals in the first round, and lost. They lost in the first round. And my favorite baseball player, Ryan Howard, at his at-bats to get the final out for the Phillies in that series, he tore his Achilles, and he was never the same after that. He was never the same after he tore that Achilles, and that was one of the saddest moments for me in baseball. Because my favorite player got hurt, and they lost the series in the first round. That was one of the biggest disappointments for the Phillies. That was one of the biggest disappointments I want to say for that Phillies team in all the years. That was like the team I really thought that, besides like the 2008 and the 2009 like going to the World Series, that was, I thought they had a chance to go at it again and win that series since they had the best rotation in the MLB. And if it's not, it's like one of the best. I'm not gonna say it's the best in like an all-time MLB, but it's one of the best in that MLB list. It's one of the best. So I want them to just make the postseason. If they can make it, I will be very happy. Just break the playoff drought and curse, please. It's been a very long time. It's been a very long time. I just like to see them make the postseason and get over it. That's what I would want for the Phillies. That's what I just want for them to do. But yeah, I really want them to make it there. But just to go over, folks, one more time about this Phillies roster of how they improved from the trade deadline from the second half of the season till now. They traded for Sosa, who's an infielder for Phillies, and he's done all right. He's done good on defense. Excuse me. He's done good on defense. His offense is what's been surprising for the Phillies because he's not known for offense, and he has helped the Phillies win some couple games by having a good offensive game. So that's been the good thing for the Phillies is having a backup defensive versatile guy. So it's very good for the Phillies. They got rid of Adubo Herrera and Yaris Familia, which I'm so happy about because every time Familia would pitch and come out of the pen for the Phillies, he would always give up like runs. He would give it up and mess it up for the Phillies. And that was the one flaw that was the one flaw in the bullpen that kept annoying me. Because everyone else was doing fine. It was just him who kept messing up for the Phillies. It was just him. Adubo Herrera, he was given a chance. He wasn't like great, wasn't spectacular. He was just like hanging in there, trying to like make it through. Like he wasn't doing well. He wasn't like being that all-star year he had. He wasn't that dude. He wasn't. So again, Phillies improved from there. And then you go to the trade deadline. They acquired Brandon Marsh for center fielder, who, as I mentioned before, came off the injury just a week ago. And he's helped the Phillies out very much. For the defense, his offense is not great, but he gets on base. So I like it. He gets on base with the walks. He will get some singles. And he has great speed. When he gets on base, he will go for second, and he makes it almost every time. That's the one thing I love about Brandon Marsh is his stealing and his running. That's what I like. And the Phillies acquired him in exchange for catcher Logan O'Hoppe, who he was a rising prospect for the Phillies. But if I were the Phillies, you got JT and then you got other catchers. So it's not really worth it for the Phillies. They do well with catching prospects, but it's not really worth it for the Phillies to like go have another guy ready when it's about to happen. I think he's a good like trade value wise. It'd be worth trading him for it, and the Phillies did that, so it was fine. The biggest one I want to say for the Phillies of acquiring a trade deadline was acquiring David Robertson from the Chicago Cubs for relief pitcher Ben Brown, who Ben Brown was having that breakout season in the minors. I don't know how he's doing now, but Dave Robertson, as I mentioned before tonight, he's done great for the Phillies despite that one game he had a couple of games ago. He's done good for the Phillies, and he's paying off for the Phillies, so I like it there. It's paying off there. And then the final one was acquiring Noah Syndergaard, Thor, because of his hair. He has very long hair, folks. Thor from the Los Angeles Angels in exchange for the Phillies' number one pick, I want to say. Excuse me for that. Number one pick, Mickey Moniak. Now, Mickey Moniak, he was not like the expectation was he was supposed to be like your center fielder for like an Aaron, like he's supposed to be like an Aaron Judge kind of guy, not like how Aaron Judge is playing now, but he's expected to be like an all-star center fielder, and that was the Phillies' first overall pick. And I remember meeting that dude, and he was so nice, and I'll never forget him. Always liked him, especially like I wish him the best of luck too, even though he got hurt and injured. I wish him the best of luck because he was a nice guy when I met him. I still have his autograph to this day. I will never get rid of it because that was like a baseball memory I'll never forget. He made baseball more fun to me because I just met him. Like, I know he wasn't like the prospect or like the great player that everyone wanted him to be, but I always like wish him luck because he was a dude who signed my ball and always took picture and got to talk to him a bit as a kid. So I really liked him a lot and wish him the best of luck there. All right, going back to the tough opponents that I mentioned before of how many games the Phillies have left. You have 2 games against the Blue Jays, 7 games against the Braves, 3 games against the Astros. That's it. That's the tough stretch of how many games you have left against the great teams. And when I've been saying this, when the Phillies are facing bad teams, they must win those series. It's expected for them to win. It's not like a definite, yeah, you have to win this series, but you're expected to win the series. There's a difference. Like, you got to win these series. You know you're better than this team. Where it's like, it's the Braves, and it's like, oh, must win. Like, there's a very like high competitive level there for Phillies. It's a very high competitive level. So the Phillies have got to do their job and take care of business there. And when it's tough teams, that's when you see how good this Phillies team are. If they can do good against the Mets, the Braves, the Dodgers, the Yankees, Astros, etc., that tells you what separates the Phillies. That separates you of telling, like, oh, can this team go far in the playoffs? Can they not? How well would they do in the postseason? Like, are they good in the postseason atmosphere? Like, that's where you determine it. Whereas the Phillies are just having an easy schedule, I want to say right now. I want to say that. Where they're just beating the bad teams, the worst teams. Like, they have one of the easiest schedules remaining in the MLB as of right now. They have one of the easiest schedules remaining. So, again, take advantage of those series that are like teams are not doing well. The high competitive level, that is about confidence. If they definitely when you're playing the bad teams, it gives you a lot more confidence. But it's better when you're facing great teams and you're earning it very well. Like when the Phillies were playing the Pirates and they won the series just this weekend, it was like right away, like they were just playing, as John Kruk said on the air, they're playing a college baseball team basically. That's what he was saying. And the Phillies were like showing that they can win that and they were dominating them. If the Phillies, like, that's like not really a competitive level for the Phillies, like that's not for me. If they were to dominate the Braves, for example, then I'd be very excited and know, like, yeah, we can play in the postseason. We can go far. We can do this. Like, we're a very good team. That's what separates me, is the confidence level for this team. If they have better confidence, then they got it. That's the better confidence for the Phillies. And as I look as the Phillies play the Diamondbacks tonight, just to go over the pitch matchup for the Phillies, you got Ranger Suarez versus Madison Bumgarner tonight. Aaron Nola takes on Zach Gallen, then Falter takes on Henry, and then you go to the Giants series. You have Kyle Gibson takes on Cobb, Syndergaard takes on Junis, Suarez takes on Rodden. Then you go to Miami series, you got Nola taking on Luzardo, and Gibson takes on Alcantara. So it's going to be interesting to see where the Phillies go. It really is. This has been a fun year watching the Phillies, no matter if they make the playoffs or not. I really want them to, but we have to see if they make it to the pitching. We really do. And I'm just looking at the standings here real quick. I'll let you guys know where everyone is in MLB right now. Starting with the AL East of the first, for the best team in the AL East is the New York Yankees. They are most likely going to win that series, and they're definitely going to go to the playoffs. Then you have the Central, which has been competitive lately. The Cleveland Guardians are in first place right now. The Minnesota Twins are 2 games away from them. And then the Chicago White Sox, which they've had a very disappointing year. And I said they would win the World Series. I believe I said on my YouTube channel, or won the AL. And that went great. That didn't go well. So it didn't go well for the Phillies. So it didn't go well for the White Sox, excuse me. Didn't go well for the White Sox, so they got to do better of that. They definitely, and that's been one of the most disappointing teams I've seen this year. One of the most disappointing teams. I mean, the Blue Jays, they're a little bit of a disappointment. I expected a little better, but the White Sox have been the biggest disappointment to me. Biggest disappointment. Then you go to the NL East, you have the New York Mets in first place, and then you have the Atlanta Braves 3 games behind, and then you got the Phillies 9.5 behind the Mets. Now, every MLB fan usually will say, or maybe some Phillies, I don't know, but most MLB fans will say, like, criticizing the Phillies, like, oh, you pay all this money just being in third place. Well, there's a difference between being in third place compared to other divisions. You got the Braves and the Mets. They are a couple of the best teams in the league. And this just shows, like, if Phillies have a very good winning record and if they're in the postseason picture, it shows you how competitive and how tough that division is. Because, like, the Mets, they're almost 40 games over 500. The Braves are about 30 games over 500. Like, you see the Phillies, they're just about 16 games over. Like, you see how competitive that is. Compared to if you were to put the Phillies in, like, another division, like the NL Central, they would be fighting for first place right now. Like, you see the difference level for the Phillies. You see that difference level. For the NL Central, you have the St. Louis Cardinals, who are 74 and 54, and the Phillies are 72 and 56. You see how the difference is between the NL East is, like, very competitive, and then you see other divisions like the NL Central that are not so competitive. So third place does not really mean much to me at all. Like, that means absolutely nothing to me. It only matters if you make the postseason or you don't. That's what it all comes down to for me. Doesn't matter. It all comes down to the postseason. That's just it. You have the Milwaukee Brewers, who are the second place team in the NL Central, trying to get to the postseason. They're the one main team that is trying to fight for a wild card spot in the postseason, because they're not looking like they're going to win the division. Looks like it's going to be the Cardinals. The Brewers are 67-59, 6 games away from the Cardinals. So that's where you kind of have to wonder if the Brewers are going to make it, because they've made the postseason and have been a good team. The one questionable call I like to say for the Brewers is trading Josh Hader away. Even though Josh Hader's not having a good season as soon as he got traded to the Padres, he's not been great. That was my one question, is why would you get rid of Josh Hader? I know you have Devin Williams and he will definitely be your closer, but it was just shocking to me to see Josh Hader go. And that's, like, I know one person in my family, like, who's like my cousins, are big Brewers fans, and Josh Hader was a fair player. And as soon as he goes, I was like, well, that was terrible. That was oof there. I like to say, like, your favorite player gets traded. I've dealt with that experience with Philadelphia Flyers, for example, of Wayne Simmons. I get off an airplane when I was coming back on vacation, and as soon as I get off the airplane, I just look at my phone and I see Wayne Simmons get traded. I'm like, why can I go back on vacation now? I'm going back on the plane. Like, why? So, yeah, it's very annoying to see, like, your favorite player, and sad to see it's very annoying and sad to see your favorite player go. So, yeah, that's been the annoying part there. And then going to NL West, you got the Los Angeles Dodgers, the best record in the MLB, 88-38, about over 40 games. 40 games over 500. Very impressive. Very impressive for the Dodgers team. And now, the Dodgers will always have one of the best records in the regular season. Then you get to see them in the postseason, and they will always go to the NLCS, and then they will choke. That's what it's been. Now, COVID season, yeah, they won. But some people, not me, I will always say they're champions of the COVID season. Some people will say they're not real champs because MLB only played 60 games, and, like, yeah, they played a very light schedule. They didn't play many games, and it was quick and all. So you can debate all about if you want, but I will call the Dodgers champions because they earned that in the COVID season. I will give them credit for that. And then the next team is the San Diego Padres, which they are 19.5 games behind the Dodgers. So that just shows how great the Dodgers are and how difference maker they have between their divisional rivals. That's the difference maker. And now let's get to the wild cards I mentioned before already. As I mentioned before, let's start with the American League. You have three wild card spots, as it is the new format this year. First seed for the AL, first wild card spot is the Tampa Bay Rays, who are 70-57. They are 1.5 over the Seattle Mariners, who are the second wild card spot, and they are 70-58, and they are one game over the final wild card spot in the AL. And the third wild card spot team is the Toronto Blue Jays, 68-58. They've been a disappointment this year to me because there was a lot of hype that this team will do very well and go to the World Series and win it all. That hasn't been it for this year. It has not been it for the Blue Jays this year. It has not been at all. Now, the one surprising team that surprised me a lot this year is the Baltimore Orioles. They've been a team that's I've been surprised by because usually they like to trade their best guys by the trade deadline and just try to get a lot of value and try to rebuild. That's what it's been like since they traded Manny Machado, as long as I can remember. But the Orioles, they are 67-60 and 1.5 away from the final wild card spot. And then you have the Minnesota Twins after that, 65-61, 3 games behind the wild card spot. But the Orioles are the team that I want them to make the postseason. It's been a long time, but at the same time, I like my Phillies. I would like them to make it more, but the Orioles, I would just like it. I would just like them to make the postseason for once. And around here at York College of Pennsylvania, you got your Phillies fans, you got your Oriole fans. So it'd be nice to see both teams make the playoffs at the same time. It'd be pretty nice to see. And the Orioles are going a wild card fight there. They're fighting to the end. I would really like to see them make the postseason. I really like to see it. And they've been pretty good so far this season. They've turned it around and have done well. And they've gone 6-4 in their last 10 games. So let's hope the Orioles can make the postseason. But most importantly on this show is the Phillies make the postseason. Most important thing, folks. That's the most important thing. Guys, thank you for tuning in. It is about 7 o'clock here in York, PA. The weather right now is just chill. It might be a little humid out, so just be careful. Drink plenty of water. And guys, I thank you for tuning in on this. Next week, we'll be talking football-wise as football season coming up soon. We'll be getting into a little fantasy football if I can. Talking. I already did my draft, so I can give away my strategies and my advice on folks if anyone needs fantasy football help. Yeah, so we'll have that. The only big news out of football recently was Sonny Michel from the Miami Dolphins got cut today, and Laviska Shenault from the Jacksonville Jaguars, wide receiver, got traded to the Carolina Panthers. So that's a little interesting to me to see how that goes for the Baker Mayfield and the Panthers. A little interesting to see. And nothing big happened besides the running back from Washington Commanders, the third string, Brian Robinson, I believe it was. He got shot the other day in the, I think, lower body and he's fine. He's recovering well. And there is a chance that he can come back this year. I don't know about that, but I'm just praying that he does fine. He does well. Hopefully he does well. So, yeah. But that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you for tuning in. Phillies, please make the postseason. I'm hoping for it. Let's get to the postseason for once. Hoping for it. Guys, thank you for tuning in. You can find me here as I'm listening on here on 88.1 FM, the voice of your college. And if you have not done so already, I have a YouTube channel. If you want to ask my YouTube channel, is just Jeremy Hadler, Jeremy space Hadler, Hadler. And I'm trying to get to 200 subs and we're 10 away. Let's hit that goal. I want that goal to be hit by the end of this year. And I will be streaming on my YouTube channel in a couple weeks the Rams-Bills opening night game. So stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for that, folks. But as always, appreciate you guys watching my channel. That's a wrap in the studio. Sign off. Upcoming video on my YouTube channel will be my NFL playoff predictions. So that will be coming out hopefully this week. But once again, that's a wrap in the studio. I appreciate everyone you tuning in. Have a great night, everyone.